Hello, I'm Marc Sumner, host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and today I have Nick Crouch, the Director of EMEA and APAC, Channel and Alliances at AppOmni, in the studio. How are we doing, Nick?
Very well, thank you, Mark. How are you doing?
Really good, really good. Now, this location, actually, you know about this location quite well, because you've almost worked in every office and every street round here, haven't you? So
Yeah, so Cable House was one of my first buildings I worked in for Tullet ICAP. Then New Solutions was an office I worked in here, and then actually when I interviewed with Exclusive Networks with Graham Jones and Stuart Clark, I was actually currently working for this employer, so I had to keep my kind of eye over the shoulder when I was interviewing them.
yeah, absolutely. But let's take it right back, because when I get a guest in the studio, I normally looked at their LinkedIn profile and I think, what's a bit unusual about them? And you started as an IT support person. So tell me the thought process behind that. Why did you go into that?
It's actually even worse. My LinkedIn doesn't state that I was actually a postboy. So
Really?
So the first role I did for Tullet, I was going to go to golf college, but preferred money and an opportunity. And so one of my auntie's friends was the COO at Tullet ICAP, and she got me a job in the post room. So after 3 months, quickly found out that I didn't really enjoy the post room, and it's kind of the start to the career. And an IT job came available, and so I moved into IT support. We looked after all the telecoms for TP ICAP, which was doing billions and billions of trading. And so we had the kind of important job of making sure that everything was plugged in and working. And that's where my career in IT started.
Did you actually have an interest in IT at that age?
I kind of fell into it.
You fell into it?
When I come out of college, I loved golf. I loved being sociable, but didn't have any idea what I really wanted to do. And then kind of when I started to work with the traders, seeing the money they earned, what they did, it started to give me kind of an interest in pursuing something. I actually passed my trading exams to become a trader. And then they kind of didn't have a role available, and then I moved to Colt, which is where I kind of started my sales career.
Would you have done a trading job? Because that sounds quite exciting.
Yeah, it would have been really cool. And I actually got to see the contract and how much I would have got paid, which was pretty heartbreaking when it got withdrawn. So definitely would have done it. Loved kind of the fast-paced environment of numbers and stuff like that. And so it would have been a really good opportunity. But unfortunately, moved into Colt, and I can't say it was a bad thing because I am where I am now, and working for Colt was a great time as well.
And take me on with your career then, because you moved to Colt. Then where did you go after that?
So at Colt, I was internal sales. So we looked after a lot of huge accounts, but what we did was process quotes, orders. We'd go and meet the customer, but we wasn't really, in my view, kind of it's a stepping stone role, right? So inside sales is obviously ultimately you want to become an account director or a salesperson, and so from there I moved to Transportech. To try and kind of find my own way in being a salesperson, reaching out to customers, kind of breaking into new accounts. And then from there, moved to this building. This was when I first moved to this building. That was New Solutions. So I worked for a guy called Manny Leon, was a great boss and great mentor for me. And we sold managed services contracts. So we'd sell everything from managed infrastructure, managed desktops. And then from there, it's when I found out I was having my little boy, so I moved to Exclusive because the fast-paced kind of direct sales life, it kind of made sense to move into distribution, which is where I kind of laid my foundation for Channel. Exclusive was massive in my career. It got me in front of a lot of the partners that I work with today. A lot of the relationships I have today are still from Exclusive. And so, from there, got to know about Exabeam. Exabeam, a good friend of mine and another mentor of mine, Brett Camden, was the VP of Channel and Alliances there, and he brought me on. And then basically I got a buzz for startups. So it's like when you're Exclusive, we've got they had a huge vendor portfolio, and you could build a relationship and you can kind of go in and talk about multiple different vendors. But what I really liked the challenge of was a startup. You've only got one vendor. If that vendor doesn't work or doesn't sell, you're not getting into that partner or you're not getting into that customer. And so from there, that's where I've kind of carried on and then moved into AppOmni. I've now gone one step even harder in the fact that we're not doing startup, we're actually starting a new market. So SSPM is something that's completely brand new. It's not really known by it's starting to be more known by customers and partners now. But when I started three and a half years ago, people would say, what is SSPM?
Well, I'd almost like you to explain that, because I don't know what that is, and I'm sure lots of the listeners out there wouldn't know. So what is that market?
So SSPM stands for SaaS Security Posture Management. So effectively what where we've seen since COVID a massive change and shift in users using SaaS applications in a big way. So the likes of Salesforce for your sales records, your system of record for sales. ServiceNow is kind of your system of record for IT ticketing. Then you've got M365, which obviously everybody uses to collaborate and share. Then you've got Workday, which is these are like four apps I'm reeling off, but they do billions and billions of dollars in revenue, and customers are using them more and more every day. And so the problem that you've got with these SaaS applications is they're built to make customers go faster. So they're all built to collaborate, to share, to go faster. But what's been forgotten about is security. And so what AppOmni does is we continuously monitor these platforms to ensure that no misconfigurations are made, no bad actors are in there, no fourth-party apps are connected that shouldn't be, because the bigger problem we've got with these SaaS applications is they all have their own app store. So Salesforce has an app store, M365 has an app store. So all of a sudden now you've not just got a SaaS application, you've got a SaaS application that is connecting to maybe another 10. And so the CISOs of this world have got a real hard job of finding out who's using what, is it secure. And so what AppOmni really does is we take that data, bring it back to the security teams, and let them make their own decisions. Because on that point, Mark, that a lot of these apps are bought by the actual user. So Salesforce will be bought by the sales guy. HR will be bought, the Workday will be bought by the HR person. And so we're really giving that visibility back to the security team so they can make sensible decisions around what the users are doing in those applications.
Are you selling to any end users yourself, or is it purely through channel?
Yeah, we're purely through channel. We've got a sales team across EMEA and APAC, so we have different sellers in different regions, and then I support with the channel alliances program to support that. So we typically sell to, at the moment, large enterprises. So as most startups do, when you land, you target the large enterprises first, and then you come downstream. And so what I try and build is a channel program to support those, what partners can get us into those large enterprises. And that's the kind of channel I try to build, really laser focused on, have you got top 10 customers that align to my reps, 10 customers?
I was going to ask you this, Nick, and I asked a couple of people off camera what would be the difference. When I see someone that does channel and alliances,
yep.
what is the difference? So if you're a channel director, you're doing one
yep.
thing. If you're an alliances director, you're doing another thing. If you're doing both, what are you doing?
So channel is typically partners, GSIs, MSSPs, and then alliances are other vendors. So, we do a lot of work with Cisco, for example. So Cisco is classed as another vendor, but they've seen a gap in their portfolio where AppOmni fit. And so we're working on very closely with Cisco to kind of fill that gap. And so typically, the two streams are a channel role is your partnerships, and then your alliances role is working with the likes of Cisco, and both can be multi-million-dollar business units, right? They can both kind of help you get into accounts, and it's kind of like being a big family, really. Like you share and bounce ideas off one another. Intel, if Cisco's doing a deal and a partner like Worldwide Technology is involved in that deal, they can share information with us and we can bounce it off one another to get into the right people.
So as a vendor that maybe not everyone's aware of, there would be customers that you want to get into. Would you use someone like Cisco as an alliance to try and get into them?
100%.
Because I'm not being funny. If I was taking your call, I'd be thinking, well, who are you and why would I want to deal with you?
Yeah, exactly that. And so Cisco help us get into some large accounts. Partners do. So yeah, definitely that, Mark. We 100% utilise our relationships to get into accounts. And then we've won some pretty big customers, right? We secure 30 of the Fortune 100, 5 of the Fortune 10. So we've got a pretty decent name in the space. And as I say, more and more people are realising that this is a problem they need to secure for. I think this year alone, we had 16 projects budgeted in EMEA for SSPM. So it's starting to happen.
Nick, your opinion, what makes a good channel director? What makes a good alliances director? What do they have to do to get a channel going or an alliance going?
My strategy has always been to be laser focused. I think because you work for startups, going broad is not going to work. So going to sign 50 partners when you've got 10 opportunities it's not going to work. So you need to align with the partners and get the partners that you want to work on the opportunities with excited. And so typically what we try to do is, we'll pick 3 or 4 focus partners for each country, and then we'll load them with the opportunities we've got. So it's like, look, guys, this is what we're doing. We're selling to your tier 1 accounts. Can you help us get into other tier 1 accounts that you've got? And this typically, kind of close one deal, ask for another. And that's kind of the way that we try and deal with it. We've then got our BDR function. So Aaron, who works in our BDR team, he booked 70 meetings last year. So, to go into partners and say, we've got 70 customers interested, that definitely kind of gets the kind of ball rolling. And also, obviously, when you go in with those customers that are interested and that partner has a $100 million engagement in that account and spend, all of a sudden they know exactly the right people to plug you into. So all of a sudden, from that one phone call that Aaron makes, we then get plugged into 4 or 5 of the right people at a partner because they know how to accelerate the deal for us. And that's kind of where, you know, that laser focus and keeping it with only 1 or 2, then I only have to know so many people, right, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nick, you mentioned about being laser focused. How do you decide who the partner is and who you want to be laser focused with?
So typically, I mean, been in the channel for a while now, so I'd like to have got a pretty good understanding of what tier 1 accounts are in a lot of the partners across the world. And so it really is working out, you know, which of these. I mean, one way we can, it's a bit of a cheat code, is we can find out from the customers who they're buying through. So our customers tell us, right, we love to use, you know, partner A, partner B. We can then go from that and say, hey, look, we've had a really good meeting with this customer. They've said that to use you, and then, you know, from there you can kind of expand out into their wider customers. But there's so many partners doing unbelievable business out there. It's hard to choose. Like, you could pick many because there's so many good ones out there. I think the relationship's key. You know, where can I get access to quickly? Can I get access to the sales teams? Can I get access to the technical marketing? Can we build a plan? And that's kind of where I go in. And if a partner's a bit standoffish and says, you know, you can't have access to this team, then for me, that's not a partner we're probably going to go after. You
mentioned there about the relationship. Would that influence you of who to work with and who to partner with? So, for example, you mentioned if AppOmni have got an opportunity with a customer, they said they've gone through a particular partner, but maybe you're not so friendly with that partner. Would you try and influence it into another partner?
I mean, it's always difficult. End user in the channel game is always king, right? So whatever the customer wants to do, and you know, as I mentioned previously, like when they're really in bed, the partners are really in bed, so it's difficult to get them out. But yeah, if I know there's a preferred partner in that account, then yeah, definitely we try and work it via our preferred partner, just because it helps us grow our channel, right? If we're putting it through a partner that we're not going to work with, then, you know, say it's a 500k deal, that's a 500k deal that one of our core partners could have focused on and would have built around, and they see obviously closing them deals when you pass the margin through, that's time to invest, right? They can turn around and say, if they make 15-20% off an opportunity we pass them, they can go and re-spend that money and build in capability around AppOmni, you know, marketing programs and stuff like that.
So when you want to build a channel program or an alliances program, how do you decide? You know, you mentioned, how do you get the partner excited to deal with you? Because I normally be very offensive when I say about channel alliances people, because I normally sort of say, oh, they're just going around giving tea and biscuits to people and then just giving them sort of pizza days or whatever it is. But how do you actually get the partner excited about dealing with you as a business?
So I think there's a number of factors to that. I think, you know, you've got to have a cool tech. So like, if you look at the last 2 companies I've worked for, AppOmni is a cool tech. It's leading the market, it's leading the space. Where Exabeam was a cool tech. It attached to a lot of stuff. So I think first off is tech. Second is relationships. So there's a number of people in the partner community I can ring up and say, look, I'm going to move here, or, you know, this is where I am. Can we come and have a conversation? By the way, we're talking to 3 or 4 of your biggest customers. So there's kind of a flow to it. But if you haven't got the tech and the opportunity, you're going to do well to get into any partner, right? If you can't give them something, then why are they going to take it on? Like, I hate the term, but it is, in a way, the channel is coin operated. If you're not putting cash into it and putting deals through it, then it's going to quickly turn off when that happens.
Yeah, it's a good point. If you're not making money together,
then what's the point?
The relationship could be great, but if you're not making money together, there's no point doing it.
Yeah, and I think also, like, on that point, Mark, like, it's also being grown up and go, do you know what, guys, I don't think this is working, right? Let's call it here. We've, you know, been maybe say 2-3 years down the road and nothing's happened. And
do you do that, Nick? Have you dealt with a partner you're thinking, we've tried to get this going, but it's not working, so we're going to call it?
So, I mean, at my last place, Exabeam, we actually sent letters out, to terminate contracts.
Did you?
End, yeah, because it basically got to a point where Exabeam's probably little bit bigger than where AppOmni is right now, and that's probably because they was a bit older when I joined them. We had so many partners, and so there was just literally, like, we went through with my boss, Brett and Ted, and was like, literally, these guys, we're going to terminate them, and they got letters of termination. And you know what, sometimes, Mark, it reinvigorates the partnership, because they'll go, oh, they're terminating us. Yeah. Let's get
what are you doing, Nick?
Well, you sent him this letter.
Yeah.
So no, 100%, it can definitely work. And I think, like I say, it's going to be wasted both your times if you're not making no money out of it, right?
One of the biggest challenges I find in the channel, or I get people telling me one of the biggest challenges, is getting sales, marketing, and technical teams collaborating together.
Yeah.
How do you do it? How should channel firms do it?
It's really difficult. And I think it's ultimately down to buy-in. So like going back to being laser focused, if you've got a select amount of partners, you've got more chance of lining those three teams together. If you're going out and trying to, build a relationship with 25 partners, it's going to be very hard to get that alignment because there's just not going to be enough going on. So, with a couple of our partnerships, we've definitely got all those three aligned, and you definitely start to see, the outputs of that. We're building services with certain partners and stuff like that, which is obviously a key route to market for a lot of our MSSP and GSI partners. And so it's laser focused customers, and then you'll definitely see that sales, technical, and marketing engaged together because they're all trying to get to the same end goal, right, which is success and wins, right? So, and that's when you get the alignment.
What are some of the challenges you're facing in your role expanding AppOmni's presence in EMEA and now at APAC? Is there any challenges or differences between those regions?
So a lot of the companies I work for are US based, and it's one language. I know there's multiple different countries, but when you come into EMEA and APAC, there's different languages, there's different cultures. Even to a point with like some of the partners, you can sign a global agreement with a partner, but in EMEA, a lot of the partners want you to do a local country agreement because they are a different language in a different territory, different tax. And so, there is.
Is that challenging?
Yeah, there's a ton of challenges, right? As well, like you can go in like some territories don't like a guy like me coming in and telling them that this is a great technology, because they prefer to be speaking to someone of their age and their level. So there is a ton of challenges that you see. I think that kind of on the flip side, when you do get it going and it starts to work, it feels even more kind of rewarding because you've got gone and set up multiple different regions and like at the moment we're doing Japan. Japan is very difficult. This is a very difficult market, but it's one of the biggest out there for SaaS. So, we have to go and target it. And so we're starting the inroads now into Japan. But very different culture to us, right, Mark? So, you join meetings and you have to have a translator for a start. So, people are on there and they ask questions and the meeting can take 2 hours, but you've only actually spoke for 30 minutes because the translation time of going back and forward and stuff like that. So, definitely huge challenges for EMEA and APAC. And like I say, culture, language, all that stuff comes into play, which makes it difficult to do business. Well, not difficult to do business, but difficult to build.
You mentioned at the beginning about having strong relationships, laser focus with a few partners. How do you maintain, and what's the secret to maintaining strong relationships with those partners?
So I think regular site visits. A lot of our partners, like you mentioned, how often I'm in town before we start recording. I'm probably in a couple of times a week, and I'll go and see 2 or 3 partners in that time. Pop in and just like say tea and biscuits.
You're that tea and biscuits guy, Nick. Come on.
Biscuits guy, definitely more of a Guinness guy. But no, like when we drop in, I think some of the stuff, Mark, like you mentioned, is if we've had 2 or 3 updates from an SDR, if Aaron, our SDR, calls into 2 or 3 new accounts, then we'll drop in and go, oh, are you working with this large bank or this large manufacturer? Because we've just broken into it. We've got a first meeting. So it's kind of like keeping them up to date with everything that's going on, product updates, whilst not massively exciting for salespeople, technical people, it might be cool. And then it's kind of like I say, with some of the focus partners we've got, it's kind of maintaining that plan. So, what events have we got planned? What business development are we doing? Making sure that we're keeping track of that. And then, to be honest, Mark, a lot of the guys are actually kind of like, they're like my friends. So you're going to go and pop in and then, you're going for a couple of pints with the lads after work and it's cool. But you are talking work and you are, building a business together.
You mentioned there about events. What events would you do together? Do you do co-events or do you just do events that you're putting on?
So a mixture of both. Again, kind of going back to that laser focus piece. When you get, down the line with a partner, they'll start to allow you to do events with them. So like we've got a very large Cisco partner down the road. They have an unbelievable golf day, which they get 72 customers to. We're going to co-sponsor that in the coming months. But then also we're doing an AppOmni social on our own, which is inviting all the channel and our customers to Caddy Club in Waterloo in a couple of weeks. So feel free to come along, Mark, if you're around.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to have to come to the cyber standoff April 24th.
Yes,
which
there you go. Trade off.
I will get you an invite to that for sure. Let's talk about up to date now, where we are in 2025. Where do you see or foresee the future of SaaS security evolving? Where's it going?
SaaS is, I mean, for a start, it's kind of a new space where people are starting to look to. But I mean, it is AI. No one wants to kind of talk about it, but I love it. I think it's great. AppOmni itself has built an unbelievable AI platform inside it. And so, like, to give you an example of what our product does, Marc, is customers use Salesforce in a massive way. So they kind of they talk to their customers through it. There's portals and stuff like that. And what we typically do is we see a lot of risk in that. So basically that kind of disconnect from Salesforce to the portal shows a lot of risk in there. And AppOmni can go and find that risk. But with our AI agent, we can turn around and say, right, we've actually got 10 apps connected to AppOmni. So you can literally say, show me my 5 biggest risks. And the chatbot will go away and it will come back and say, here's your 5 biggest risks. Here's how you fix them. We'd advise doing this first, and then it can kind of turn around and say, here's the next set of risks.
It's frightening.
Yeah, it's scary. But in a way, it's efficient, it's cool, and the world's going that way, right? We're seeing it everywhere that people are embracing AI, ChatGPT, Einstein in Salesforce. Everyone's up to it.
What role do you believe that artificial intelligence will play in cybersecurity? Where will it go?
I mean, it's definitely going to make it. I think there's 2 sides to it, right? I think the attackers are going to start to use AI, which is quite scary, right? Because you're going to start to, they're going to start to be faster, smarter with artificial intelligence. But also in defence, we're going to use it to our advantage as well from a cyber play in that we can find events happen quickly, we can see users and all that kind of good stuff. And so, yeah, I think AI is going to be massive. It's going to be huge.
In 2025, Nick, apart from AppOmni, which vendor or partner do you think is going to do well and why? So name and promote them. Who's going to do well?
So my old CRO at Exabeam has just gone to a company called Protect AI. And so based on the fact of knowing Ralph very well and that he probably doesn't need to work anymore, the fact he's gone there, I'd say that's going to be pretty cool tech and one to watch out for.
Protect AI.
Yeah, new one, brand new, hot off the press.
Hot off the press. Nick, you've been a great guest. Thanks so much for your time.
Cheers, Marc. Appreciate it.